The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, staff, management, or advertisers.
Coming to you on stations coast to coast, it's the Makin It Radio Show with your hosts, self-made millionaires Tommy Runfola and Todd Williams. Tommy Runfola, founder and president of one of America's top technology, consumer products, and media companies. Author, investor, and National Entrepreneur of the Year nominee. Tommy has worked with 5 U.S. presidents and vice presidents. Todd Williams, founder and CEO of Inc. Magazine's 2013 fastest growing food and beverage companies in America. A former NBC TV personality and Harvard Business alumnus. Makin It is the source for success stories and in-the-trenches information that outlines a roadmap to the American dream. And now, here's Tommy and Todd.
Welcome to the show. This is America's favorite entrepreneurs, Tommy and Todd, and we're making it coast to coast. Let me introduce my illustrious sidekick, mentor, and friend, Mr. Todd Williams, the pride of Harvard University and the OSU Buckeyes. Todd, how's it going today?
Pretty good. I'm stoked.
All right. And, of course, as always, the lady with 1,000 pairs of shoes, Miss Brittany Dorsey.
Hi.
All right, Todd, let's get right to it, and let's talk about our guest today.
Well, we're talking to Shawn Cunix, and as he's at his villa in San Diego, as we just found out, chilling out as he prepares for the World Poker Series.
All right.
He's a true rags to riches story, like Horatio Alger. I mean, he started with very humble beginnings on the east side of Columbus. He went from a $35,000 a year job to a top cell phone sales representative, on to owning 80 Verizon wireless stores, doing $90 million a year. He then sold that business in 2015, so not too long ago,
Wow.
and took his poker hobby to the next level, which he's preparing for doing now, winning millions as a pro poker player.
Wow.
After recovering from a potentially fatal ATV accident, he pursued his latest venture. He acquired the Toy Barn auto dealership in Dublin, Ohio, specializing in exotic luxury cars. Along with his new company, Shawn finds time to sit on the board of a nonprofit that mentors fatherless young boys called Teen Focus. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a real baller on the show today. Welcome, Shawn.
Well, welcome, Shawn. This is Tommy. And let's start out with hearing about your climb to success. Give us the Cliff Notes version of your climb up the ladder to success.
Well, as a teenager, I left home. I had lost, my family had lost 16 houses or so growing up. And as a teenager, I moved in with my grandmother on the east side of Columbus. I went to Southmore Middle School and Independence High School. And from there, I graduated from high school and then went on to college to Ohio State. My mother had left when I was 3 years old. My mother had gotten remarried. And I went to Ohio State, really hoping to impress my father because he had went to school there. And I graduated in 96 from Ohio State. I went to work for Ross Labs, a division of Abbott. Out of college, made about $35,000 in a company car, and lived in the Cleveland area. I did that for a year, and I heard guys were making $100,000 a year selling cell phones. And back in 97, it was kind of almost they still had analog phones and bag phones. So it's like, man, I went to college to peddle phones, but candidly, I didn't really care if I had to shovel to make $100,000 a year. I was willing to do it after coming from what I had. So I started with AirTouch Cellular back in 97. I became the top rep in the country and made $170,000 a year for 4 years. And ironically, at that time, my family called me Donald Trump, which it's ironic that he's president now. But
well, maybe that's in your future as well.
So I make the $170,000 a year, which was life-changing money at that point in my life, at any point for most people. But so I do that for 4 years, and I know that I want to be an entrepreneur. I always was. backtracking just a little bit, I sold Jolly Ranchers as a kid and made tens of thousands of dollars. I had about $17,000 in the bank as a teenager from selling Jolly Ranchers, buying them for a penny and selling them for a dime.
That's amazing.
So I knew I didn't want to trade time for money. I learned that from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And so I walked in and quit my $170,000 a year job, which took big kahunas.
Yeah.
And my wife had just quit her job. We just had our son and just bought a house, all of that within a few months. And then I walked in and quit as well. It was terrifying. Candidly, it was more terrifying than losing houses growing up, because we always got to move in with grandma and live in the basement while we were recuperating. And, this was me on my own. So I quit the 170 and started selling phones out of my basement in 2001. And gives me chills to even discuss it. It's because, as an entrepreneur and a man being 44, I don't really take that much time to sit back and think about where I've been and where I came from. And so I go on at that point, and 6 months I saved hundreds of thousands from selling the phones on the street, just my wife handing them to 4 independent contractors outside the door in 01. And I get my first store in October of 01. 6 months after going out on my own. And it takes me a couple years to figure out how important it is to have a system and have great people. 2 of my favorite books is Good to Great by Jim Collins, and the other one is Michael Gerber's E-Myth Revisited, which stands for Entrepreneurial Myth. It teaches me that the importance of a system and having the right people. And so I take it from, after a few years, I only had a few stores, and then I turned it into adding a store every couple of weeks and went on to run it up to 80 stores, $90-some million in revenues.
Wow.
And it was just an amazing amount of stress to do it. I actually cried myself to sleep at least once a week, and my wife and kids can tell you that. Just an unbelievable amount of pressure. And I sold it in August of 2015. And I bought most of my family houses and cars after I did that.
Wow.
I helped out all my family, and it's just an amazing feeling to even reflect on it and get the opportunity to discuss it with you guys.
Shawn,
awesome.
let me interrupt for a second.
Yeah.
Coming from such humble background, where does this motivation and this inspiration come from within you to make it to the top? We know a lot of people that have similar stories, and they're in prison today. Tell us how you did it. Where did that come from?
By the way, we have about 30 seconds, so we might need to finish this when we get back.
Yes.
There's an amazing fight inside me. My favorite movie is Cinderella Man, and I just knew that I wanted to make a difference in people's lives and take care of my family, and that's something I obviously accomplished.
So It's a lot of fights. So once again, we're talking about, the internal motivation, not the extrinsic motivation.
Right.
That is the key to success. Okay, this is already gotten really
Deep.
good.
We're going deep.
We're going to come back. We're going to have more with Shawn Cunix, entrepreneur, poker player, and owner of the Toy Barn.
We'll be right back.
Your questions about business, career, personal development, and achieving the American dream are more than welcome. Email them to info@makingitnow.com. Now back to more Making It with Tommy and Todd.
OMG fact of the week. The word taxi has the same spelling in Czech, Dutch, English, French, German, Italian, Polish, Portuguese, Romanian, and Spanish.
That's convenient.
Now, Todd, you're quite an educated man. You've been to Harvard. How do you say taxi in Swahili? I've always wondered about that, and I know that you know the answer to that.
What I have to find out how many taxis they have over there.
Right. It might be
Well,
like get on the
I'm
back
sure
of my
they have a
bike.
few.
Yeah, I might be getting on the back of my bike.
Well, maybe our guest knows that, and let's get back to him.
Well, actually, we have one of our preferred partners.
let's talk
Okay,
about
well,
that.
let's talk about our preferred
Let's not
partners
rush over
first.
them here.
Okay.
Okay, shout out to one of our preferred partners in the New York area, Diamond Chocolatiers. They're actually located out of Norwalk, Connecticut. Diamond Chocolatiers offers hand-poured, unique, and innovative chocolates that taste scrumptious and look exquisite. Almost too good to eat. Almost. Check them out by going to our preferred partners page on makingitnow.com and click on the link to their website. Thank you for supporting Making It, Diamond Chocolatiers. They're designed to be delicious. By the way, they recently sent us some chocolates, I didn't get any, to enjoy, and it was very sweet. Thank you to Diamond Chocolatiers.
I ate your chocolate, I have to confess. All right.
I'm sure they were good.
Well, we're back with Shawn Cunix, entrepreneur extraordinaire, and we're talking about his rise to the top. Shawn, I recently bought a high-end vehicle at a dealership in Sarasota, Florida, and they really laid out the red carpet for me. I wasn't used to that in terms of how car dealerships normally treat people. You have sort of a boutique car dealership. Tell us what kind of experience that you prepare for a person who buys an exotic car from your dealership, and what do you want to do different than they might be used to?
Well, we've already, I bought the place a little over a year ago, and it was really known just for selling exotic Highline cars. We actually have now doubled the production there, selling about 125 cars a month. I'm one of the largest in the country for those types of vehicles. But we've mixed in a lot of Audi, Porsche, Land Rover, and Mercedes product. So we're selling a lot of cars that are in the $30,000 to $40,000 range as well now, instead of just the high-end cars. But back to your original question, had to put a little plug in for my place.
And you should.
Back to your original, question. It's very important to me that the experience is second to none. That's the main reason I got into the business. I've always loved cars and people. I like that the business has been a great medium for me to give back to the community. And so it's something special. When someone comes in, I like them to know how much I appreciate the opportunity to help them with their purchase, but that it's much more than a transaction to me. It's a relationship. And I always wanted that when I was purchasing cars prior to owning this. And I'm very proud to say that we get raving reviews, I'd say 99% of the time. We don't always get it right, but we certainly do everything in our power to make it right if there's an issue. And everybody knows that's my culture and that it's a must to be done there. And my reputation is a big deal. As far as giving back to the community, if you've seen, we took a couple $1 million in cars down to Children's Hospital, to the cancer ward, and to some less fortunate kids, and I let them sit in and out of the cars all day, and that's something I felt very proud of, and I want to continue to do that kind of stuff.
Well, that's very cool, and congratulations on that.
What's interesting to me is I read a book called Necessary Endings about how people hold on to things too long because they're afraid of what they're going to lose. And typically, like when you had your $170,000 a year job and you let it go, and it ended up being something way better. How do you let go of something and move on? Like, what do you find is the key to that?
Well, I mean, you mean in general, or?
Yeah, there's people out there that, they have a job, they don't like it, or they're making good money on it, but they won't let go and do the next thing that they really want to do because of that fear.
Well, that's there, and that is the bulk of it too. Is but fear can also be a great motivator. Now, personally, me, because I knew that I wanted to keep climbing the ladder, and again, I did not want to trade time for money. I've always pushed myself, so I'm never satisfied really. But I also, again, a lot of it has to be that you have to understand your why. Another one of my favorite books was Simon Sinek's Start With Why. And people need to look deep inside and realize just going and making money every day is just a surface thing. It has to be something bigger than that you're after. I mean, we all have to make money and pay for stuff, but the bigger thing for me is that it continues to build freedom and let me take my family on extravagant trips of spending time and memories together. And I can, for me now still, I continue to think about someday I'm going to have grandkids, hopefully a ways away. And I want to continue to have that freedom that success is continuing to provide for me.
So, Shawn, I have a question now. You said about the toy barn and how you've been branching out and selling more of the, $30,000 and $40,000 range products. How have you been communicating that to the customers in the local area that you're not just for, $300,000, $150,000 car buyers anymore?
We're still using the traditional radio and some TV spots, and then people can tell the majority of cars today are searched on the internet.
Okay.
So when you look up my inventory, you will see I have about $13 million in cars right now.
Okay.
And half of that inventory is under $50,000.
Okay, got it. So when people are doing their searches, you're just making sure that you're there as one of the viable options.
Yes.
Who is your typical
and
customer?
with our inventory rotating. It really ranges because, again, we have cars that are as low as $10,000. Now, that's still something we need to continue to communicate because when people think of the toy barn, they still have that connotation of high-end, and so that's the barrier we're trying to break down. But
Absolutely.
as I mentioned, I'm proud to say that 125 cars a month we're moving, and those are not all Lamborghinis and Ferraris. So.
Got you. Okay, we got to wrap this segment up. We come back, we'll have more with Shawn Cunix, entrepreneur, poker player, and owner of the Toy Barn. We'll be right back.
Your questions about business, career, personal development, and achieving the American dream are more than welcome. Call 855-MAKIN-IT, 855-625-4648. Now, back to more Makin' It with Tommy and Todd.
We're back with Tommy and Todd Coast to Coast, and we have with us today entrepreneur and world poker champion Shawn Cunix.
Yes, but before we get to him, we have to do a quick shout out to another one of our preferred partners. This one is in the Honolulu, Hawaii area, Hawaii Titanium Rings. They offer the widest selection of titanium engagement rings and wedding bands for men and women, all of which are inspired by the tropical scenes straight from the shores of the island. Check them out by going to our preferred partners page on makinitnow.com and click on the link to their website. Thank you once again for supporting Makin' It.
All right.
Couple quick questions for Shawn. One, I noticed when you were selling your phones out of your car, you saved the money up. Did you cash fund your initial businesses? Or did you go to the bank, or was it just straight sales?
Actually, I beat the streets and saved the cash. And once I had some money in the bank, and this is how it goes with banking and business, it's tough, but they give you the money when you don't need it as much. So,
exactly.
I started out with a zero credit line and then a $25,000, quickly got doubled to 50, and then I putted along and had to raise several $100,000. But I sold an incredible amount of units door to door. There were a couple of times where I pretty much blacked out, and it was again an amazing feat in stress. It's no words that can put it other than me telling you earlier, crying myself to sleep once a week. That's a fact, and
so
my family got to witness it. So
basically, you use sales to get it going. That's something a lot of people out there need to understand, that you can get it going that way.
What would you say is the most stressful part? Obviously, when you're sale funding your business, and you're trying to make it every month, that in itself is stressful. But what was like the core essence of that stressful period?
Well, the main stress is very simple. If you go from having a job where you're being paid $14,000 a month, and then you wake up as an entrepreneur, your pay is zero every day. And so having to figure that out and make it for my family, where I'm the only provider, is a tremendous amount of stress. When you're young, you can count on grandparents, parents, and everything else. But once you get out on your own, you have to figure it out.
Right.
You figured it out. Hey, about your experience during a pro poker game, quickly, how was that experience? Like, what does that feel like?
Honestly, it was amazing for me. I never got to compete in any sports growing up. I was always a hustler, if you will.
Right.
So to go and actually dominate and be on world TV and my kids see it and then go on to win millions of dollars has just been an incredible experience, that's for sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Shawn, obviously you're a competitor. And, I'm always interested in what motivates people and how do they get to that point in life. Why are you such a deep competitor as opposed to other people who might think of retiring after they've gotten the kind of income that you've gotten? What keeps you going?
Well, I want to continue to be a great mentor to my family and to young men that obviously, you mentioned earlier, I sit on the board of Teen Focus Kids that grew up without a father. So I like being setting an example for that and being a leader. I like that it puts me in the limelight. And when I was younger, that limelight was to make up for maybe not having so much of them accolades from my family. But now it's more about I know that every time that I'm successful or achieve something else, it puts me that much more in the light to make a difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
And that's an important part of my life.
And to be a role model.
Yeah.
Right.
Shawn, what advice would you give to young entrepreneurs, or maybe not even young entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs in general in our audience who are at a crossroads trying to succeed in their business or career, and they're just not sure what they should do next? What motivation do you have for them?
Well, I mean, it's simple. The simple thing is to say to them, never give up on your dream. But bigger than that is saying they need to find somebody that can mentor them, reach out to somebody that's made it. And even if the first few people won't give them the time of day, there are many entrepreneurs out there willing to share their life and experience to help other people. I'm just one of many, and you just have to search for it.
I agree. Shawn, how can someone get a hold of you if they want to buy a Ferrari or a $30,000 car or whatever range of car they want, or follow you on the poker tour?
That's fun too. Some people do enjoy my updates for that.
Yes.
They can reach out to me. My website is inspirehappiness.com. They can find me on Facebook under my name. The company name is on there as well, but I'm on there personally. And or they can just stop in the Toy Barn if they're local, and they can email me questions. My email address is Shawn@Cunix, C-U-N like Nancy, I-X like X-ray, enterprises.com. And I do answer all my emails, and I love helping people. So anything I can do to give back and help, it means a lot to me.
Thanks a lot. Great show with Shawn Cunix.
Awesome interview.
Time to wrap up the show. Brittany, how can people get a hold of us?
Okay, well, you can check out our website, makinitnow.com, and from there you can check out our Facebook feed, our Twitter feed, our Instagram feed, and behind-the-scenes footage.
And we have a lot of good stuff on there.
We do.
A lot of content.
We do.
A lot of videos.
You can see all the behind-the-scenes that are filmed actually on the green screen, so you can
YouTube channel.
see the antics that really go on.
And our archives are great.
Yes.
Well, thanks again to Shawn Cunix, a very inspirational entrepreneur. And this is Tommy and Todd, Coast to Coast, and keep making it.
This has been Makin' It, the source for information, insights, interviews, and in-the-trench advice for startups, struggling, and early-stage entrepreneurs and business owners nationwide.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, staff, management, or advertisers.
For more information, contact Tommy or Todd at 855-MAKIN' IT. That's 855-625-4648. Or at their email address, info@makinitnow.com. Thank you for listening to Makin' It.